Starting a fragrance collection from scratch might be a daunting task to think about, especially with all of the options you have to choose from. But today, we're going to break it down, make it real simple with these here. These are going to be a fantastic selection of fragrances to build a nice foundation that you can then go out and continue to build upon once you kind of establish what it is that you like. So I think whether you already have a few fragrances to choose from in your collection, or if you have nothing yet and you're wanting to add to it, these would be the options to go with. Also, maybe you already have a collection going, and these are still some great scents that might be worth considering as well. They do add a lot of value to your collection. This first one's a new release. It's Coach for Men Eau de Parfum. I like this so much more than I thought I was going to. It's more interesting than I initially expected. I thought it was going to be maybe a bit more of a boring release, but it's not the case. It has a lot of leather, some cardamom in here, some cedar wood as well. So it's more of your woodier, more masculine, earthy style of cologne versus a lot of the newer style scents being more sweet leaning. Given that it does have that woody leather undertone, it kind of has almost a little bit more of a versatile aspect to it, something where you could wear it in the slightly warmer weather, but also in the cooler weather too. Personally, I think this is one of the better Coach releases within this lineup. I would say this, Coach Platinum, and I don't know, probably Coach Green are my three favorites. And definitely one where, especially now since it's hitting discounters, it's worth picking up. I bought it at full retail. I don't really recommend you do that, especially when you could save some money getting it through discounters, which is what I would do. And the price will continue to drop even more as more time goes on. And I think at some point this will wind up being a really nice budget-friendly release that you just can't go wrong with. I think it's great if you're starting a collection from scratch, or if you already have a few, it's a nice versatile one to add. It'll provide a lot of value for you. This next one is Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense. It has lavender, vanilla, and vetiver. It smells wonderful. I mean, this one here, to me, is a really well done release. And honestly, as far as the Born in Romas go, this is one of my favorites as well. This and probably a Green Stravaganza, a couple of my favorites within the lineup. Really, all of them are good, and all of them would be a great choice for this video, I think, when you're just building a collection up. Most of them have that versatility, the complement factor, the performance to go along with it as well. For me, this is just one that I gravitate towards the most. Now, that's not counting Valentino Uomo and Valentino Uomo Intense. Those are different, a separate line. Just talking about the Born in Romas, these are the ones where, just talking about the Born in Roma sense, the Intense one is probably the best, at least for me. Of course, it is kind of sweet, so this is more of that modern day, modern style fragrance trend that this is following here. But there is still kind of a woody freshness and a bit of an aromatic touch as well. Really, the opening is what sells you on this one. You give it a spray and you just know that it's gonna be something that is likable, that's wearable, and that's a good compliment getter. And it's definitely a great one that's super easygoing to add to any collection or to start any collection. Now, this next one, we're gonna be looking at about $45 to $50 for this. It is Montblanc Explorer. And of course, it's known as a Creed Aventus clone. That's what it is. And there are many to choose from. So if you already have another Creed Aventus clone, then you probably don't really need to get this. They all work, really. And so it's more or less, if you don't have any yet and you're building up your collection, this is one of many options. And again, there are tons of them, and that in and of itself is overwhelming. Not only do you have a ginormous selection of men's fragrances to choose from in general, but even trying to narrow down an Aventus clone, just one scent clone, which there are many of, can be daunting as well. So the reason why I typically gravitate towards Explorer for topics like this is because it's a designer brand. It's Montblanc. You have the option to go into a retail store and sample this, or buy it at full retail, which I advise against, but you can do it. Whereas you can't go to a Macy's or Sephora and sample Armaf Club de Nuit Intense Man. You just can't. And so this is one where it's just more readily available and a lot easier to get your nose on. Also, I think given that it's a designer brand, it's just probably more appealing to people who are especially just starting out versus a lot of the Middle Eastern brands with weird presentations and kind of weird names and funky designs. That stuff can be kind of confusing too when you're diving into all this information. But Montblanc Explorer, it keeps it simple. It gets you very close to Creed Aventus just at a fraction of the cost, about $50 on discounters versus, $250, $300 on discounters for Aventus. Of course, Aventus, it's a very common smell given the amount of clones that are out there, but it still works great. It's a compliment beast, and that's why it's so popular. This one, of course, is no exception. Citrus, woods. The pineapple deal isn't as straightforward here. It's not quite the same, okay? But it still gets you very close with that woody, birchy, ambergris, ambroxan heavy dry down that Aventus is known for. Let's go for YSL Myslf. This is Le Parfum. Okay, this one is, there's two. There's actually a third one that's just now coming out, but let's just call it two. Okay, the Eau de Parfum and then the Le Parfum currently that you can smell. And between the two, this is my favorite. Now, this new one that's coming out, that one looks like it might be promising. We'll have to see. But nothing wrong with the original. I just think that the Le Parfum is simply better. And I think that if the original was maybe a bit too boring, a bit too, kind of lackluster, this one, while it isn't, completely revolutionary, it's a step in the right direction. Orange blossom, amber, and vanilla are kind of the main components of this one here. It is a real nice compliment pulling style scent that you would kind of expect from the YSL lineup or just YSL in general. But then when you kind of look at how these are branded, you kind of have that assumption, and it does ring true. The difference between this and the Eau de Parfum is it's a little tiny bit sweeter and much stronger. So you do have that freshness, of course, from the white florals and the orange blossom kind of combination there, but then a bit of vanilla adding to the sweetness. It's these hybrid type scents that work so well because they appeal to a wide variety of people. Some people like fresh, some people like sweet. When you have a scent that is kind of a combination of both, well, you're kind of combining those preferences that people have into one, and it appeals to more people. And that's kind of what I like about scents like this, and that's why they get so popular. This is going to be a popular style scent, even if it's not right now. It's not like Sauvage where everybody wears it. It could get there someday, but you could wear it now and still stand out and be somewhat unique until that snowball effect continues to go, and then it gets more and more popular. I think it'll take a little bit longer because this is a bit more expensive right now. Even on discounters, it's kind of going for a little bit of a premium, but to me, it's worth it. If you want something that's just wearable, it's a no-brainer, it's a good performer, it's a nice compliment puller, it's just something that does it all, this is it, and it's a little bit of a different option compared to something like Eau de Parfum, for example, which is a very common scent. Now let's go to Ralph's Club Elixir. So, your only option for this is this, what I believe to be a 75 ml bottle. Always got to double check. Of course, they make the writing, 75 ml, and make it to where you can hardly even read what's on the sticker, but that's your only option. Typical Elixir fashion where they only give you one bottle size, for the most part that's smaller than the rest, and then charge you more. This one's got leather, iris, some olibanum in here, some lavender as well. So you get the aromatic package that the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum have, but with some iris, some olibanum, kind of sweetens it up, gives it just a little bit of a balsamic smokiness. That's kind of what separates this from the others. It's richer, it's more depth, it's more complex, but still being a versatile style, trendy type of scent, just with a bit of a twist. And I think it's a fine balancing act that these designer brands play, where they don't want to go too far and make it, too out there, too unique or too different. They want to stay right on that line where they're giving you something with a little bit of a twist, but still kind of keeping the roots the same. And by that I mean just that modern style, trendy smell, which in this case is that aromatic amberwood based style that Ralph's Club is built on, that YSL Parfum is built on, and many others. That's just kind of a common smell right now. And so this does have that, just with a little bit of a twist. And that's why I like this one compared to the original and the Parfum, which I do like the Parfum as well. In fact, I would rate them in order backwards, basically, where my favorite's the Elixir, second favorite the Parfum, third favorite would probably be the Eau de Toilette, and then last would be the Eau de Parfum. So slightly out of order, but basically I just think all of the flankers are better than the original at this point already. Not much else to say about Ralph's Club Elixir. Again, we're not really reinventing the wheel with any of these fragrances, you know, but kind of, you know, written on the wall as far as a beginner video starting your collection from scratch. We don't really want that. We don't want super unique niche or anything. We kind of want to stick to the things that work, and that's what this does, and that's what all of these do. And talking about sticking to things that work, Rabanne or Paco Rabanne, they're a brand that they really have a good grasp on just the trends and what works and what doesn't work, right? Because they've discontinued a lot of things as well over the years, but Invictus Parfum is a newer release, believe it or not. Even though Invictus has been out for years and they have had so many flankers, we just now finally get a Parfum variant here, just a standalone Parfum. And so how does it stack up? I have to say, it's really good. Way better than the original, way better than Legend, way better than Platinum. To me, it's not better than Invictus Aqua 2016, 2024, 2025, whatever. But it's better than most all of the others, even probably better than Invictus Intense. I think this is a really welcomed improvement. Now, I wouldn't say it's better than the Victories. So Victory Elixir, wouldn't go that far. Okay, those do have a bit more to them, but this one is a really well done release. This one's got sea notes, soap, lavender, and musk. It does have a soapiness, and it's quite a bit different than the original Invictus. You know, you see Invictus Parfum, you might think it smells very similar to the original, just stronger. That's not the case. It doesn't really have that bubblegummy sweetness to the level that the original Invictus has, and that's kind of why that one got so popular. Instead, given, you know, the note breakdown even kind of alludes to it, it's kind of a cleaner, fresher, soapier variant, which is a little bit confusing because typically parfums go in the opposite direction. You'd think it would be heavier, denser, sweeter. That's what the Victories do, okay? So this one's kind of going in a different approach, but it's a welcomed approach. I just think it's a big improvement over that original, which a lot of people still do wear and like, but I think this one probably would be the better choice, and this is money well spent. A little bit more than regular Invictus, obviously, because this is newer, but still worth it to me. Also, it's different enough to where it separates you from that original Invictus smell. So if you're kind of worried about that, like smelling like everybody else, that won't be the case with this. This is still new. It's not, you know, hyped up yet. Don't even know if it fully will get there. So you can kind of stand out with this one. And we're gonna finish this video off with Azzaro Chrome Extreme. It's an Acqua di Gio Profondo clone, simple as that. And the weird thing is they were kind of released at close to the same time, so I don't fully know what to say about that. They were released in the same year, but then really close together. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I remember looking back and that kind of being the case. So this one has orange, sea notes, and a little bit of that mineral note smell that Profondo has, which is kind of what makes Profondo unique and stand out. Although it just doesn't have the same level of that type of smell, it is there, and it's more than enough to give you that strong similarity to Profondo. The main selling point, of course, for Chrome Extreme is the price. I mean, it's less than half the price of Profondo. You're looking at $40, I think maybe even $35 versus, you know, 100, maybe even a little over 100 for Profondo. That's pretty big. So if you don't want to spend the money on Profondo, you could go for this and save a lot of money and get a couple other things, you know, for the same price with that savings there. So something to consider. It's a fantastic summer scent especially, but could easily work all year around. You can't go wrong with this stuff either. It is a fantastic start to a new collection and a great addition to a pre-existing collection as well. That's gonna do it for me, guys. If you're starting out, check these out, kind of go here first, and from there you can build and see what you like and branch out from there. And even if you already have an established collection, which I know a lot of you guys watching do, right? Because you've been watching for a long time, so you probably do. These are still great anyway. I will link them all down below, make it easy for you to pick them up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.